Inge Eberhard, an ordinary Austrian girl, had no idea that she had married a prince from an Asian country. Their love story was like a fairy tale. She went to a faraway country and lived in a palace, surrounded by numerous servants. But later her life changed completely and the fairy tale turned into a nightmare. Why did she have to flee with her children? What terrible trials and losses did she experience? What was her fate and where is she now? Watch the full video to find out. Let's get started. The story of Inge Eberhard is so interesting that it was made into a dramatic movie. This biopic was so scandalous that it was banned from distribution in Myanmar, Thailand, and other countries in Indochina. We will not hide from the audience the amazing details of this story. Inge grew up in a provincial town in Austria in the family of a gamekeeper. She finished school with excellent grades but did not want to study at the university in her country. Her dream was to see the world. Young Inge applied to universities in several countries and chose Danvers University in Colorado, where she studied to become a teacher. At a student party, she met a student from Burma. The country is now called Myanmar. The young man's name was Sao Kia Seng, and he had come to the United States to study mining engineering. Despite the cultural difference, the girl immediately felt a kinship with him. She liked literally everything about Sao: his intelligence, his wit, his shyness, his unusually broad perspective, his kind and bright eyes. A romantic relationship began between Inge and Sao. 2 years later, they decided to get married. In the spring of 1953, a modest student wedding took place at a friend's house. They were the first interracial couple in Colorado. And after graduation, they traveled to Sao's hometown. Many people discouraged Inge from going. They told her scary stories about savages, bounty hunters, and even witches living there. But the girl who knew nothing about distant Burma blindly trusted her beloved husband and was ready to live with him anywhere in the world. She could not imagine what lay ahead. Sao spoke sparingly of his family. Inge only knew that her husband was the son of an official. As their ship approached the coast of Burma, the girl saw a huge crowd of people carrying bouquets of flowers on the quay. Not paying much attention, she told her husband that it looked like some important person was being welcomed. At this point, Sao, embarrassed, explained that these important people were them. It turned out that he was the crown prince of the Shansipa kingdom, with a population of 5 million. This news almost made his young wife faint. The man deliberately did not reveal his high birth and wealth. He wanted Inge to love him not for his status and money, but for his human qualities. For an ordinary European girl, such a lavish reception was a shock and caused tears of happiness. On the way to the palace, they were greeted by thousands of people who threw flowers at their feet and applauded. And only 8 local girls wept bitterly. They had been chosen by the Sao royal family as potential brides. The crown prince would have to make his choice upon his return, but he came back already married. Their palace turned out to be a 2-story mansion with servants ready to fulfill her every wish. Once inside the mansion, Inge collapsed from all the impressions and fell asleep until morning. The next day, she was informed that she was now a princess. In addition, according to local tradition, she had been given the title of Mahadevi, which means heavenly patroness. Inge and Sao had another wedding in the kingdom, now according to local customs. It was in stark contrast to the student wedding in Denver. Instead of Coca-Cola, the guests drank fine wines, and the wedding procession stretched for miles. A picture of the newlyweds was placed on the altar in each home, next to a picture of Buddha. Upon his return to his homeland, Prince Sao began to implement sweeping reforms. He had many ideas on how to modernize agriculture and bring the country out of feudalism. He distributed rice paddies and machinery to the peasants and fought corruption. Trained as a mining engineer, he was serious about controlling mining. After his father's death, Sao became king, and Inge was given the title of queen consort, helping her husband with everything. Over the next 10 years, she opened hundreds of educational institutions, hospitals, and soup kitchens for the poor. The subjects saw Inge not only as the king's wife, but also as the celestial patroness Mahadevi. Inge later reminisced about her years in Shan as an unbelievably beautiful fairy tale. a two-story palace with Buddhist temples visible from the windows, luxurious oriental clothes and jewelry that made her an exotic princess, dozens of servants and a beloved husband at her side. During this wonderful time, two girls were born to the royal couple, named Canary and Mayari, and the monarch and his wife were the most popular rulers in Southeast Asia. But this happy life did not last long. In 1962, there was a coup d'état in Burma. One day in March, a military car pulled up to the palace. The king was arrested. Inge never saw him again. It was only many years later that Inge learned of her beloved husband's fate. So what happened to the king? Inge and her daughters were under house arrest for 2 years. She tried her best to find out what had happened to Sao, but soon realized that the storm clouds were gathering over her too. Inge began to plan her escape from Burma, but her daughters were undocumented and would not be allowed into the US or Europe. A brave Austrian embassy official forged documents and helped them leave the country. For a time, Inge lived with her parents in Austria, but she had to move because her daughters were teased by their peers in their hometown, who scornfully called them Negroes. Inge moved to Colorado, determined to start her life over, where she once met her prince. She took a job teaching German at a secondary school. For years, she sent letters to the new Burmese government asking for information about her husband's fate. She never received an answer, and she never went back to Burma. It wasn't until many years later that she learned that her beloved husband, Sao, had been shot a few years after his arrest, allegedly while trying to escape. When the pain of loss had subsided, Inge remarried. Her chosen man was an American Ted Sargent, with whom she spent the rest of her life. It was he who inspired Inge to write a book about their incredible plight. With the proceeds from the sale of the book, she and her husband were able to set up a fund to help migrants from Burma and help thousands of migrants. Inge has been true to her vow to serve the Shan people. Based on her memoir, the film Twilight Over Burma was made in 2015. This film, as well as her book, are banned for distribution in modern Myanmar. Possession is punishable by imprisonment. Inge's daughters have grown up and married very successfully. They continue to work for the Burmese Support Foundation and consider themselves the last of the Mahadevi princesses. Sometimes the women visit the palace in Shan where they were born and where their parents were so happy. The building has now been turned into a museum and is eagerly visited by tourists. As for Inge, she lived for 90 years and died peacefully in her own home in February 2023. And the story of her incredible destiny is written forever in the pages of her memory book. What do you think about this strong woman who was not afraid to go to a strange country for the sake of the man she loved, and then lived for many years waiting for news of him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching and see you soon.